Okay, come on, Mummy Lane. We still got work to do. No, come on. You've been saying that for the past half hour. We got to rebuild the salt mine. The whole thing fucking collapsed.
Sam, I found it.
Found what? You found a cure?
Yes, I think it's in this book.
Whoa. It's in that big black book you're carrying?
Yeah, the Book of the Died.
Yeah, I can't quite read the cover. It's very dusty.
It's somebody scratched up, but I found a passage in here, and it has a picture of a mummy, and it looks like Lane.
All right, it's worth a shot.
What's new?
Okay. All right, here I go. I'm going to read from this. I'm going to save you, Lane. Here we go. The passage reads: sailor. No, hang in there, Lane. I'm gonna save you. He's cured. Oh my goodness. Lane, talk to me. What's going on?
That is a lot of vomit.
Oh, he's covered. He stinks.
Ooh, that tikka masala is almost as good the second time around.
Hey, you're back.
You're back.
Where did I go?
Well, you were a mummy for a very long time.
A very long time. 2 weeks, even.
You've been a mummy for too long. I don't really know what the medical protocol for mummyism is.
I feel really good. I'm really hungry, though. You know what I could go for?
Human flesh?
Some tikka masala. Oh, tikka masala. That's what I was thinking.
Maybe you shouldn't eat that anymore.
No, I think it was fine. I was feeling a little funny after I ate it the last time, but after I ate it, we did the podcast, and here we are podcasting again.
You want to do a podcast episode now? But you've been a mummy for 2 weeks. We can't do a podcast right now.
Well,
what even would our topic of the week be?
Did you think of anything while you were wreaking havoc on our home?
I was wreaking havoc?
Yeah.
No, all I could think about are the scariest things that I've ever seen online.
That sounds like a pretty good topic of the week right there.
Let's go with it.
Well, that sounds excellent.
Well, why don't we jump right in?
Somewhere deep in the Arizona desert, 3 men are doomed to work for the rest of their lives, trapped within the confines of Big Al's salt mine. They gather weekly and survive the only way they know how, by recording this show. You're listening to Salt Mine Radio.
I was going to say.
All right. So my segment this week, I'm going to be talking about, feel free to contribute. It's more of a discussion thing anyways. Trailblazers who did not get their proper credit, did not get their due. You know, they did it first. Maybe they didn't do it best, but we still don't remember them like we should.
Right.
A couple ones that I had off the top of my head. The one that inspired this one was I was listening to the radio and somebody requested that they play Ride With Me by Nelly. And in the song, he not only brags about sitting next to Vanna White on an airplane, he also talks about how everybody doubted him because his flow was so, off the wall, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, it's not actually that weird. But then I realized that this is a pre-Drake world we're talking about. So Nelly was the first one to dare to mix that rap with sing-song. He's not trying to be a gangster. He's not trying to be hard. He's just a dude who likes to rap and sing and kind of mixes them both.
When did Ride With Me come out?
I think it came out in 2001.
When did Kanye West start making his moves?
2004.
Okay, so
I'm gonna double check on Ride With Me.
So the problem with that is a product of like gangster rap and Boys to Men becoming popular at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So like that evolution was only natural that those two would come together. If you ever listen to like Boys to Men interviews and stuff, they're like, "Oh yeah, we invented this genre of like singing hip hop."
That's really interesting to me, actually. Yeah, when you think of it as a pre-Kanye,
like Biggie and his crew did a lot of that as well, especially after he died.
Biggie's post-death work is some of his best.
Right?
Yeah, really hit his stride creatively after he died.
I can surprisingly still remember his name. Okay, so I thought of one just now.
All right.
So you're all familiar with the Hunger Games. So Suzanne Collins says, when asked if she's ever read or seen Battle Royale, which is a Japanese series that is essentially the same exact thing, just Battle Royale did it 6 or 7 years before the Hunger Games book even came out, which is actually very interesting because I have read the Hunger Games books and I don't like them. They're very, it's that young adult fiction that's not very good.
It's very formulaic.
Right, but people eat the shit up. So yeah, Battle Royale is the original, and so you've seen the movie Battle Royale, correct?
Yeah, it's very good.
Right, it's very good. And you've seen the Hunger Games movies, right?
No,
Oh, they're very bad.
I refuse to watch them because she.
Jennifer Lawrence can't close her mouth in those movies?
Yeah, that she's breathing in her mouth, and that she chooses that fucking weird looking kid over Liam Hemsworth, and I'm just the least realistic thing about the whole movie.
Pita?
Yeah.
Pita bread?
Yeah.
That's actually the joke. Because he's a baker.
He looks like a Nazi. He looks like Rolf from the.
Well, you know
Sound of
that
Music.
they turn him into one later in the series? They like brainwash him into becoming a psycho, and then they have to use the power of love to brainwash him back.
The Huey Lewis in the News song?
He's in his like big Nazi tower, and he hears. Boop, boop, boop. He looks at. She's holding a big boombox. Power, love, curious thing. Nein. Ich habe keinen Leben.
So I will probably do a segment about like the Hunger Games movies and like young adult fiction that has been turned into movies at some point, just because that is not like hit its wall yet in film. Because, oh God, we had like the Maze Runner series that's still making movies.
Divergent?
That's the other one.
Do you know what happened to Divergent?
No, what happened?
So the last one did so bad at the box office, they cut the budget in half for the last movie because they're like, oh no, not interested in these movies anymore. But they had like a contract to finish them. So I think the actress got arrested recently.
Oh my God.
Yeah, for protesting at the Dakota pipeline. So she was arrested for trespassing.
Oh.
That is native land that they're illegally building that pipeline on.
Oh, okay. It's a complicated issue.
Yes. So, and it's funny because pretty much only after she got arrested did a bunch of people start noticing this. I've been seeing stuff about this on social media for like 3 months. Like there have been people camped out there for 3 months trying to stop this.
And then the security company that they hired has dogs, right?
That they just release on people.
And I don't care if it was legally justified. It probably wasn't. That's terrible PR to unleash wild dogs
Don't
on a
unleash
bunch
the
of
hounds.
Yeah, on a bunch of like
Mr. Burns is in a tractor.
I suggest you all get off my land. The hounds will be released in 10 minutes.
just a gross overreach of their power. People are like, it's scary that they basically have a PMC out there.
Well, they do. And
Yeah.
so that's the thing is that she's like, now that I've been arrested, like I'm glad that it's getting a lot of exposure, but it's sad that it took a white actress getting arrested.
I have a question. Speaking of dogs, if you could be a dog, would you rather be a wild dog, an attack dog, or a seeing eye dog?
Wild.
Yeah?
Choose my own destiny. Seeing eye dog, you're doing the Lord's work, but it's so dull, I'm sure.
Well, you gotta fuck with your owner.
They'll fire you if you fuck with them too much.
No, because they'll just blame it on his blind
Listen, I'm
ass.
sorry, Robbie, but you keep leading him into sewers.
We're gonna have to put you down.
They give him a pink slip and then an injection.
No, the pink slip is rolled up into a piece of ham.
I would be an attack dog so I can attack anybody.
I'd want to be a Scooby-Doo dog. So
That solves mysteries?
So one, I solve mysteries, and two, I can talk.
Scooby-Doo can't talk.
You kinda can.
Okay, do not have this argument with me that he repeats sounds. Scooby-Doo is an intelligent animal that knows what people are saying to him.
He's just parroting back.
No!
When he hears Shaggy say,
No! Stop it!
Can anybody do the Scooby-Doo laugh?
That's
Okay,
really
I don't
good.
have to do it now because you did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
I'm just going to casually bring things up I can do impressions of.
I've noticed you brought up the German a lot today.
I keep going back to Devel.
Okay, so that was my only...
That's a good one, like Hunger Games. I'm trying to think.
I was thinking that you might have one of like a cinematic pioneer.
So that's what I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of movies, like, where they get... even older movies that had been remade, and so, like, The Thing...
The Thing is, so nobody knows knows the Howard Hawks version of The Thing.
I have not seen it.
It's from like what 1954, I think. So nobody knows about the 50s Thing.
I assumed that the John Carpenter one was the original.
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
What's another one like that? Like there's a lot of like guys who took, like, Alfred Hitchcock made a bunch of movies in the silent era and then remade them, and so everybody knows those versions of the movie. I can't think of a good, like, someone did this and it was, it's so revolutionary, but it's like, well, we've been doing this for years, kind of thing.
So what a lot of people don't realize, Digimon actually came out before Pokemon.
Oh, wow.
And people think that it's the other way around.
If you like gave me a day to think about it, I could come up with like a whole list, but like a lot of people give Jurassic Park a lot of credit for CGI. I think you brought this up that Jurassic Park was like, we did this all with CGI, but most of that is Stan Winston puppets. You know what I was noticing today is, so Army of Darkness came out in 91 again, interestingly enough, and then Aliens came out in 86. The compositing in Aliens looks really good compared to Army of Darkness. Like, a lot of the times you don't notice it. He's very good at hiding rear screen projection and stuff like that.
The only time I noticed it was in the finale when she's been flaming at the eggs in the nest.
Yes, and you could, so that one's noticeable, and then anything with the spaceship.
Oh yeah.
Usually is, but like that whole ship crash is all rear screen projection, and you barely notice it. So I think that he even runs the rear screen through, because a lot of the times it doesn't look good because you're double recording it. It's like a second generation VHS always looks shittier. So the problem is when you do rear screen and then you do a fresh take, you're recording a rear screen with it. So I think a lot of times he runs both sets of footage through and then mats it in. I think that's how he gets around that. So they both look shitty. But I couldn't tell you.
I was watching Army of Darkness the other day. What parts were...
Like when the book flies up, that's all compositing. When anytime he falls, he's doing the whoa. That's all compositing, green screen.
Well,
stuff.
but like,
and then a lot of the stop motion stuff. There's a scene very specifically that has not aged well.
is it where the skeletons are knocking down the door and they're like they're jerking around?
Well, that's stop motion.
You're right.
Some of the stop motion in Army of Darkness looks really good still. But a lot of it is like kind of shaky. But the scene where he's in the lighthouse and the...
Do you mean the windmill?
The windmill, I'm sorry. And the two Bruce Campbells push his nose together and then like that looks really bad. Like you can tell that it's not...
Oh, okay. See, I was not paying attention during that scene because it's so bad.
You really hate that scene.
I don't like it.
It's fine. But I let a lot slide in that movie. It's really interesting if you ever get the chance to go through old like silent movies, and it's like, here's where they learn that you can draw on the film, so you get a little bit of color. Like the Great Train Robbery, which is a pretty famous one. The final shootout looks really cool because it's all black and white except that they drew orange gun.
Oh.
What was it?
Muzzle flash.
Muzzle flashes. So they're all shooting out in the forest, and you see orange smoke. I would really like to make something with that effect, but you have to draw on the frame, or it'd take a lot of work, but it looks really cool. I'm trying to...
I guess when the people lost their minds over the Tupac hologram, and then everybody's like, well, it's just Pepper's ghost, you know?
Yeah.
Wait a second, you just reminded me. Do you know who did that first?
Who did that first?
Hatsune Miku.
You're right.
Didn't they use the Hatsune Miku technology?
Yes, to bring Tupac back from the dead.
I'm going to be honest with you. I thought that was really cool, but like...
Oh, it's very cool.
Did you know that a friend of mine photoshopped a fake online article about a Tupac Miku like concert that they did together and put it around the internet, and people thought it was real, and they were going crazy trying to find footage of the Tupac Hatsune Miku concert.
That's awesome.
All right, quick. Tupac Hatsune Miku crossover song. What's it called?
Ooh.
Yeah,
The disappearance of Tupac Shakur.
That works.
that would actually be good. Yeah.
I like that.
Just imagine him that lightning fast rapping. Be real good.
In Japanese.
In Japanese.
Oh, that'd be weird. That would be weird.
I need someone who sounds like Tupac to rap a Hatsune Miku song,
In Japanese.
or Hatsune Miku to rap a Tupac song in English.
Well, you know that we can download.
Yeah, the software for Hatsune Miku is
Available.
easily available.
Wait, you can make you can do the voice?
Yeah.
You can download Hatsune. She's a computer program. You can just download her.
Oh my goodness!
You didn't know this?
We could have her on the show.
Oh yes, someone get started on this project.
We are the idea creators. We are not the
We're
content creators.
producers.
We came up with it first.
We
Who will steal
yes,
it?
who will steal who will do the
Hopefully we get more credit than the people we've been speaking about in this very focused segment.
Ooh, I got it.
All right.
George Romero always gets credit for making the first zombie movie, but he fucking didn't.
Who did?
Okay, well, there's White Zombie, which is a Bela Lugosi movie. I Am Legend. You thought that was the only movie about that?
No, that was vampires.
Yes, but The Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price, they look and sound and act just like the George Romero zombies, but they're technically vampires.
Wait, what about Omega Man?
Omega Man's the Charlton Heston version.
Okay,
That came out years later.
Okay, because that's still an old movie, but that's I Am Legend. But
Yeah, but The Last Man on Earth came out in, I want to say, 65 or 66. But the movie is set in the future, so oddly enough, the story of the movie takes place in 1968, which is the year that Night of the Living Dead came out. But very good movie. I recommend those two. I think White Zombie's even public domain now. And then there's like a bunch of black and white pre-exploitation movies about white women going down to Haiti and getting possessed by voodoo people. But like George Romero, the zombie, but he's more of the turning point from like Universal Frankenstein and Dracula horror to exploitation gore horror.
Oh, okay,
so that
okay.
is the turning point in that, but there were zombie movies before George Romero.
That's the thing. Even when people are taking, you take away their accomplishments, like, well, they didn't actually do it first. It's usually they did it best, or they did it at a crucial historical point where it turned things around.
I guess Star Wars, there were space opera movies before that, but that was like the first.
Yeah, that codified the genre.
Yeah.
Well, so that's the thing is that, George Romero didn't make the first zombie movie, but he did make the best zombie movies. Star Wars was not the first space opera, but it was the best space opera.
It was the best.
Now, I think it is the opposite, what I'm saying here with Battle Royale and the Hunger Games.
because the Battle Royale's better.
Well, yeah, just because characters are just much better.
Spawn came out in 1997, which predates Blade and X-Men movies, but it doesn't get the credit because it's a bad film.
Yeah.
It's the end of the 1989 Batman era.
96 was Batman Forever, so they go bumper to bumper with the
You tell me,
style.
in what one of those movies does an actor eat a pizza with maggots on it? None. None, I'll tell you right now.
I don't think I've ever heard that piece of trivia before.
Yeah,
Well, that's for another podcast, I think.
Yeah, not this one.
Well, I mean, a different episode
No,
of the
that
podcast.
is-
what is the name of your Spawn podcast?
The Spawncast.
Yeah, stop it. Let me come up with
Like
this.
the Halo one I wanted to do for a while was going to be the Drop Pod.
Okay.
See, that's a good name.
How long ago was that?
A couple years ago, I wanted.
I was going to say, Jesus Christ, I sure hope that wasn't recent, because Halo's no longer relevant.
No, it's not. This is like recovering from the wounds of Halo 4, getting ready for Halo 5.
Well, I'll do a Halo episode sometime.
Yeah?
Go back, play the good Halo
We've got
games.
some good Halo stories.
We'll just play it on one of our shows.
There you go.
Okay, that was good.
Thank you. Everybody send in the ones that you can think of to saltmineradio@gmail.com.
What? Whose podcast are we aping and doing better than they are? Don't answer that.
Okay.
You've been legally advised not to answer that.
My lawyer says I can't talk to you anymore.
So that was my segment. It doesn't really feel out of place for me to be putting in the work and to watch Lane just sit there. Yeah.
Well, I did carry most of that segment.
Yeah, that's the first work you've done in weeks.
Yeah.
Other than tearing down the salt mine. We've had to rebuild
don't-
this place.
I don't remember. as far as I know, it's only been a day.
This mine has been destroyed, and all we have to show for it is the gold and Gage's shiny new book.
Yeah, the Book of the Dead.
Doesn't look very shiny.
My segment this week.
Let me just.
Don't. What are you doing?
He's licking the Book of
Are
the
you
Dead.
licking it?
I'm gnawing on it, just trying to get a.
Are you a
Taste.
dog? Bad Lane, give me that. Don't gnaw on the Book of the Dead. You're not an animal. You're not a mummy. You're a man, idiot. Maybe you should read some books, like this week's segment.
Ooh. Railroading us right back on track. All right.
So it is Spooktober. We're going to keep reminding you it's Spooktober. We're going to beat you over the head with it.
Until it is no longer Spooktober. Then we'll never talk about it.
So this is something people probably don't know about me. I used to read a lot of books back in the day.
Wow.
I don't read books anymore. Because every time I'm like, I'd like to read a good book, I get into the book community, and I hate the book community. Because I'm the kind of person that I don't think there's one interpretation for any piece of art. I think it's more interesting that everyone has their own thing they do to it. So that's why I hate in English when I was in high school and I had to learn the correct interpretation of symbols and things. And I'm like, when I read The Great Gatsby, I got a completely different read off of it than what I was supposed to be getting. And I'm like, your interpretation is completely uninteresting. Anyway.
Well, Gage, that's
What?
because you're stupid.
I am stupid.
Not only are they speaking for the author at that point, they're also, saying that their opinion is the only valid one. Plus, some works just aren't that deep. You analyze anything.
It's not that deep, bro.
Basically.
But since it is Spooktober, I want to talk about my favorite horror books.
Oh, boy.
One of them is not Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Oh, please don't get me started.
And I haven't read Dracula. I tried, and it's very hard to
I
get
got
through.
halfway through it until I just could not read it anymore. Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
Just watch the Bela Lugosi movie or Nosferatu if you want to be a real asshole about it. Anyway,
Give us one of your books that you do recommend.
I do recommend. So I don't know.
The Blob by R.L. Stein.
So yeah, sure, Goosebumps books. There's another Goosebumps books are good. There's another set of books called the Bailey School Kids. We briefly talked about them on another episode, but those weren't always horror. They just revolved around public domain characters. Like the one I remember was like the gym teacher was Hercules, and they go to a camp and there's a werewolf. So the Bailey School Kids books were good when I was a kid.
Do you know which one my favorite one is?
What?
The Computer Teacher's a Gremlin.
I don't remember that one.
Oh, okay.
But they were always like public domain characters were their teachers. But Goosebumps were good. A lot of them are bad, and a lot of the stories are very similar. But you can tell he's having fun writing them.
Well, I mean, he's writing them for kids who are like fucking 7 years old, for shit's sake.
He has the template, and he just plugs things in.
Yeah.
A couple of the ones that like legitimately scared the shit out of me as a kid were the one where the mask becomes attached to your face.
By the way, Twilight Zone did that first.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. Monster Blood, the one where they go to the theme park and it's like all fucked up monster theme park thing.
Shocker on 4th Street.
That one's good. Oh, the Phantom of is it the cafeteria? It's like a Phantom of the Opera thing.
I wasn't allowed to read Goosebumps as a kid.
I'm so sorry. You didn't. Well, they're very good to like understand popular culture and monsters and stuff. And then they themselves became popular culture. Those were good, and then you discover the Twilight Zone, and then you just watch those.
I was allowed to watch Twilight Zone as a kid for some reason.
Well, because that wasn't as occult.
What's your favorite Twilight Zone episode?
Ooh, the one that scared me the most was the one where he had he's a ventriloquist, and his ventriloquist doll comes to life.
Okay,
I think it's called the Talking Doll.
that one's pretty scary.
What is yours, Gage?
It's a 3-way tie between Terror at 50,000
No,
feet.
that one's mine.
Nightmare at 25,000 feet.
And then there's the one oh fuck, there's so many good ones.
Right.
The one where the guy's a salesman, and then he's like, well, you have to make a sale, and then or I'm going to take your soul, or I'm going to take the soul of this little girl. So the Death has make this deal. So he's like, you get one good pitch. So then he uses his one good pitch on Death, and I'm like, oh, this is a pretty good concept. And then the one where the guy he sells his soul to the devil and he can't die, but he gets no thrill out of life anymore. So he murders his wife, and he's like, hello, yes, I've just murdered my wife. And then he gets in prison, and he's like, finally, I'll die. And then the devil's all, no, that's not how it works. You're just going to rot in prison for life because they don't do the death sentence in your state. And he's like, no.
I like the one where the guy wakes up every day on death row, and every person in his dream is switched around every time he wakes up.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, so he wakes up. I'm gonna die. You know, the warden comes in. Here's your last meal, and then he gets to go to the judge for his last appeal. And then there's a guy who plays harmonica in his jail cell, and they switch. He does it. He lives the day 3 times, and they each switch spots. So like the warden is now the guy who plays harmonica, and it's unsettling because you get the sense that he's lived every single combination of days that could live.
That's good.
So, yeah.
Another good one is when the old German SS officer goes back to the concentration camp and the ghosts start torturing him.
Yeah.
Have you seen the one where Hitler's spirit takes over some guy, and it's like that the ghost of Hitler is following every generation to try and create another Hitler?
That sounds like a bad one.
That sounds like Rod Serling had 2 episodes. I really don't like Nazis today. Which one of these is the better option?
It's kind of an interesting episode because it's like some kid who's like a visionary, whatever. So he's like preaching all this bullshit at his college, and then he's like contacted by a voice on the intercom. Right, and then later on, you like find out, oh, it's Hitler, and it's all this nonsense. What's the last? Is it the last? He's like the last man on Earth.
Oh, and he breaks his glasses.
Yeah.
Burgess Meredith. He's in a bunch of them.
Time Enough at Last. That one was the first one I saw. That was really good.
Very good.
That is the worst.
Everyone's so mean to him. All he wants to do is read his fucking books.
And by worst one, I mean like the worst ending.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
oh, how horrible.
Okay, back to my horror books. I have a couple. The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells is probably my favorite. It's a quick read, and he writes that character very well. I have not seen the black and white movie. I need to watch it.
Fun fact, if the Invisible Man was real, he would be blind because his retinas would also be invisible, thus he wouldn't be able to see.
Well, that's not what happens in the book. What happens in the book is he goes nuts, and then everybody's... is it like... He's in Scotland in the book, if I remember correctly.
I haven't read it in a long time, but sure.
So I just remember reading all the characters' voices as "Get out, invisible bastard!" And so that one's good. And then my go-to always was like anytime I needed to write a book report was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
That's a really good book.
That's one of my favorites. I guess The Time Machine is a bit of a horror book.
I like it when people would write books where like, and then this wacky thing happened. Like Gulliver's Travels, where like, then the people were big. Then they were small. I'm talking about the Irish now.
I'm talking about... Yeah. Did you know Gulliver's a public domain character?
I did not.
I went and looked up all the public domain characters because I was like, what can I fuck
Did you
with?
find out who owns Chud yet?
No, I'll look that up.
If you can find out, and if you can find out how much it would cost
to get the rights
to buy
Chud.
the rights to Chud, I will buy them.
You'll buy the rights to Chud?
I will buy the rights to Chud. I'm dead serious. I will use my all... If it is within... the means of my personal savings right now, I will buy it with whatever I have.
All right. I read a couple of Stephen King books when I was a kid. I didn't like watching horror movies, but I did like reading horror books.
He says that the Shining movie is better, right?
No, he does not like the Stanley Kubrick version.
Oh,
He made
okay.
his own version.
Well, you saw what happened when Stephen King tried to make a movie with Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah.
Honey, this ATM just called me an asshole.
Have you seen Creepshow? You know the guy that gets covered in grass? That's Stephen King? Creepshow used to scare the shit out of me.
Vaguely, yes.
What movie traumatized you as a child?
Tremors.
Ooh.
One of my now favorite movies.
The Twilight Zone episode that I was talking about with the dummy scared the shit out of me.
There's a couple the Twilight Zone movie.
Mm-hmm. The one with the guy who gambles and then the slot machine starts coming after him.
Oh, what?
And it's like metaphor for gambling addiction. Like he starts going insane. He sees it, like it opens his hotel door and it's like the one-armed bandit, you know, with like the arm, and it starts like chopping the arm and rolls after him, and it's like it's saying his name, but they somehow process it to sound like clinking coins, and then he backs off the balcony and he dies. And that one scared the shit out of me.
Awesome.
Okay, how about you? What movie traumatized you?
I was usually pretty good about not letting it get to me, but I was at my grandma's house when I was very young. She goes, "Hey, you guys want to watch some scary movies?" She puts on Friday the 13th Part 6, the one where it's not really Jason. And then I watched Nightmare on Elm Street, and then we got done watching movies, and I was like, "I'm not scared." And she goes, "Oh, look, It is on the Sci-Fi Channel," and we watched It. So that was the 3-movie cocktail combo that really fucked me up for a while. So if you want to get in the Halloween mood, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, The Invisible Man. We've gone on record as saying we don't like Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
I like I recently watched the first Peter Cushing Frankenstein movies. So what they did was in the 30s, when it was Boris Karloff, the focus was very much the monster.
Mm-hmm.
So they did them in the 60s and 70s, and the focus was on Frankenstein. And he's just like a horrible murderer, and I like that a lot better.
Yeah, that sounds like a good hook. Wow, Gage sure does like books, you know? He was
Like that one that he's now reading out of. Hey, what are you doing over there?
What? I'm just reading from this book.
Okay, if you're going to read, either do it quietly and to yourself or completely out loud. Just let us
I have
know
to
what you're
follow
reading.
along with my finger. What is that?
hand.
Oh my god, it's a hand.
Oh, it did what it said it would do in the book.
What?
We gotta kill that thing. Lane, kill it!
Ah, it's moving around.
Oh my god.
Oh, ooh, all right, I got it. Don't worry.
Lane, he stumped that zombie hand.
Wow, we really owe you one.
He's such a hero.
Yeah, that's right. And I won't let you forget that. And I won't let you forget my segment.
Ooh, an unforgettable segment. An unforgettable
We're just gonna
segue.
move on from the zombie hand that he stumped. He's such a cool guy, he doesn't give a fuck.
And I don't give a fuck about segments either.
Don't worry, I'm not gonna read from this thing anymore unless I find something cool.
Okay, so my segment is about how old horror movies are better than the new horror movies. Quick example, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I really do prefer the original version of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre over any of the newer ones. Things you may not have known about it. The director, what is it?
The first one, Toby Hooper?
Yeah, Toby Hooper, that's who it is. He was shooting for a PG rating because Jaws had come out and it's fairly gory for a PG film. So he thought he could get a PG rating if he didn't show any gore. Now, obviously, the themes in that movie are not at all family friendly or PG friendly. So he got the big bad R rating, and spawned one of arguably the most popular horror movies of all time. Okay, Friday the 13th. I do like Jason as a killer, but in the original, how it's his mother, especially like as a child. I had seen them out of order. Mm-hmm. So
he doesn't even get the hockey mask until the third one.
Yeah,
right?
he does. Yeah, no. In the second one, he's just wearing a paper bag over his head.
Yeah.
With a rope tied around the neck, and it looks stupid.
Well, he just looks like Wilson from Home Improvement because he has like the manliest hands.
And he's just got a flannel shirt on and some jeans.
You expect him to like come in and start giving life advice?
Why in particular do you think that horror franchises get those cranked out sequels?
It's cheap.
They're cheap to make.
Yeah.
Fake blood is super cheap. And it scares people, I guess, for some reason. I don't know.
And you know what? Young actors and actresses will take their tops off like that. I'm going to be in the movie.
So, give me some other original movies that got remade.
I think the John Carpenter thing is better than the Howard Hawks thing.
Well, I'm counting the John Carpenter. That's the original, basically.
Yeah, the 2011 thing is almost unwatchable.
Well, it's because they used all CG, and then it was worse because you told me that they were going to use practical
CG,
effects.
and then you don't give a shit about any of the characters.
No, because they don't spend any time developing them. The reason I think the original Texas Chainsaw is so good is like that family dynamic of you have the weird autistic brother who's just out wandering around.
Well, here's the thing. Most of the originals are better because it is an original idea, and when you remake it, it's like, well, now we have to hit these story beats, and so it's
we
unnatural.
need to make it for the new audience. What are the kids like? They like the gore and the titties. We got to put the gore and the titties in there.
So you're taking things that don't belong and shoving them under the banner of Leatherface.
Exactly.
That's why I don't think the new Evil Dead movie. I'm really going back to that a lot today, but the new Evil Dead movie was as good as it could have been because, like, people like that. They like shock horror. They don't want to see people floating up in the air and guys shooting a double-barreled shotgun 7 times in a row.
Yeah, shock horror is like the laziest form of horror.
Well, it can be.
Jump scares are the laziest.
Shock horror can be good if it's done well. A Serbian film is still pretty effective when I go back and watch that.
The
movie.
greatest horror film of all time.
Pretty much.
God, that movie's fucked. Should we describe the plot of a Serbian film?
Let's
Go and read the Wikipedia page.
So we shouldn't talk about it. A movie that concludes in incest.
a Serbian porn star, ex-porn star
Milos.
Gets contacted by movie director and my favorite movie character of all time, Vukmir.
He's supposed to, like they even
Find me on Steam, Vukmir.
Like even the guy in the movie goes, his first name and his last name are both Vukmir.
Yeah. So then he basically gets tricked into doing a bunch of like torture porn stuff, and it just escalates from there. It's like The Hostel, but okay. Those movies traumatize me. You know, like Hostel, a Serbian film. I will never go to like northeastern Europe. I will never ever go there. And the fact that people think that it is just safe to backpack through those countries, I'd rather backpack through Afghanistan than backpack through northeastern Europe.
Well, there's no doctors that are going to cut your Achilles tendon in Afghanistan.
Now, that is the part I like about Hostel, that very satisfying ending. It's just brutal, and it feels so good because you're like, this is the shittiest guy ever. And then he slits his throat and just leaves him in the toilet. I'm like, very satisfying. There's just a lot of movies where villains don't get the proper death they deserve.
Do you feel like that's part of going back to the theme? What makes an old horror movie better is that they sort of felt compelled by this Hays Code of the time to make the bad guy not get away with it. So we get a very satisfying horror happens and then it's gone.
Well, not to make a pun here, but I think the originals dug their own grave. You talk about the Hays Code, which is interesting because you could never have the bad guy get away with it, and that DNA sort of carried over for a while. But those movies with cliffhangers, where they weren't meant to make a set up for a sequel. They were meant to like
make it ambiguous.
Ambiguous.
Oh, geez, they're not really.
Like,
they haven't
Nightmare
really
on
got
Elm Street. She gets sucked through the window, and then the kids go off, and you're like, "Oh, is he still here?" Halloween. He gets up and disappears. Oh, it's the spirit of Halloween, or what's it like? Friday the 13th when Jason comes up out of the water. Oh, they're still spooky. There's no happy ending to this horror movie. Where the tool used to be ambiguity and leave you uneasy feeling, now they've adapted that tool into sequels because it works better as not necessarily better, but it also works as a sequel setup tool, which is an interesting evolution. You could probably write an entire essay on the cliffhanger ending.
So segueing right into the topic of the week, scariest thing you have seen online.
This can be a story, or it can be a picture. It can be something that purports to be real or fake.
Anything that came off the internet.
For a while, it was the Ben drowned Ocarina of Time. Oh no, Majora's Mask. Creepypasta.
See, okay, that one, was one that like gave me chills for a while. But the thing that I hate about a lot of creepypasta is that when one gets really popular like that, a bunch of people try and cash in on it and like make their own versions and things.
Well, that one was good because he edited the cart or however he did it.
Well, you use an emulator.
Yeah, and so that one was good. And then like that fucking scream every time got me. So the story of Ben Drown is that the guy buys a Majora's Mask Nintendo 64 cartridge.
This is how all video game creepypasta start. You go on eBay and buy a haunted cartridge.
He buys it at a garage sale and it's gray, and no Majora's Mask cartridge is gray. They're all gold. So immediately he's like, this must be some rare collector's edition or whatever. And the old man down the street is like, well, be careful, Ben. And he thinks he just said like, oh, be careful then. But then, so he boots it up and it starts glitching out when he gets to the clock tower. Of course, it's the whole thing with like the previously done save, where he's like,
yeah, and then like it'll shoot him to the end boss battle, and then it'll kill him, and then it's like there is no hope or something like that. So the story is that there's a kid's ghost of a kid that drowned living in the cart.
Why did he drown? What happened?
The kid drowned in real life, and the game keeps teleporting him to the place with the lake, and it'll drown him. Like it'll drop him into the water and drown him. Stuff like that.
The one with the goat man.
Oh yeah,
where it's like the smell of copper and stuff. That one really scared me.
That one, Candle Cove, is probably the best, the most unique creepypasta I've read.
Candle Cove's very good.
So I don't like Candle Cove as much because I read that one more recently, and it seems like I know that it was written much before this, but it's like a Five Nights at Freddy's type of thing that like everybody just gets into this, and that's the other thing that I don't like with the creepypasta fandom is that a bunch of people just take it and do a bunch of weird fan art and
Yeah,
weird
the
shit like that.
Jeff the Killer fan art is out of control.
The one Jeff the Killer picture, like the original one or whatever, that's very unsettling to me.
Yeah.
But Jeff the Killer, the story is so poorly
it's-
written.
Yes, it's awful.
What would the scariest thing online? I don't get scared by a lot of stuff anymore. Like by the time I started looking at scary stuff online.
Did you ever watch any of the Slender Man live action stuff when it was like at its peak?
like
of-
Marble Hornets and
That scared the shit out of me.
I watched the first season of Marble Hornets. It's
So
really
good.
Every Man Hybrid.
See, those ones like are kind of like, ooh, that's kind of scary, but there's so much for those. Like there's so many episodes where nothing happens. There's a lot of build up and stuff that there wasn't enough payoff for me. That like even when it did happen, I'm like, oh, that was scary. Another 15 episode logs of nothing.
I like the early Marble Hornets episodes where he goes, I'm going through the footage from my friend's movie. And it's like him late at night in his house, and you just see Slenderman like walk by.
And then the edit with "Give me $20."
That stuff helped me sleep at night when it got too bad. Like, stuff like that.
Like the parodies, yeah. I used to be way into Slender Man because like there's lore and shit.
Oh, okay. The SCP stuff was more my flavor of creepypasta.
What's the number one SCP? And it's like the picture of it. It's like it looks like it has a balloon for a head, and it's very big, and it's like looking back towards the camera in a containment like shed.
The one that's like made out of paper mache.
Yes.
That's like 180. So that's the one. That's the statue.
Yeah.
And like whenever you're not looking at it, it gets closer to you. There's a couple other SCP. There's one SCP that's a submarine that can manifest in any pool of water, regardless of depth. Like as long as it has enough space for the submarine tower to come out of it, and it like tries to lure people into it. And, so like the thing is like, oh yeah, we've tried to send, SCP agents to go investigate it, and all of them like get lost. So if like that's the other thing I like is that this is the SCP Foundation. This is like the X-Files. There's a secret government that is hiding all these. I also really like the monsters or the SCPs that are like non-malicious. Like there's one that's like a starfish. If you once you look at it, unless you somehow get it locked in a room, it is always in the corner of your vision, like moving around, but you can never look at it directly after you've seen it. Then there's just everybody tries to. I follow the scpfoundation.txt Twitter, which is just people who are trying to make their own, and it's so funny seeing people fail at trying to make.
Is that
SCPs.
like people that make original Sonic characters?
Oh yeah, kind of. And so there's
Bone.
There's two classifications of SCP. There's the Euclids and then the Keters. So a Euclid is it doesn't apply to like rules of natural physics, and then a Keter's like one that's malicious and dangerous. So everybody tries to make a malicious and dangerous one because that's what's scary, and they're just none of them are very good. But
All right, so moving from things that are fake and purport to be real to things that are real.
Okay, I have a real ghost story.
Ooh.
So my dad was the sheriff on a mountain for.
I have a ghost story as well. You tell yours first.
I have a ghost story as well.
You said you have a ghost story, so go.
Yeah.
Your ghost story.
Okay.
Your dad lived up on the mountain.
He was the sheriff.
Well, you guys lived there too.
He was Chief Hopper. Okay, he was the sheriff character in a horror movie. Okay, just waiting to happen. But he never got to be that character. But I guess one night, so the mountain gets lit on fire all the time. That's just the nature of having trees up there, I suppose. So I guess they had like a base camp where people would bring up food, like local businesses would bring up food. And he'd go up there all the time. So he's on his way up and he sees a guy in full firefighter garb walking up. I could be butchering the story, but this is from what I remember. And he's like, hey man, you need to ride up to base camp? No, I'm good. And he's like, okay, well, I'll see you. So then he drives and he's all, I can't let that guy walk all by himself. So then he flips around and he turns around and he can't find the guy. So the only way he could have gone was down this sheer hill. And he like checked and he's all, I couldn't find him. And he goes, and then I'm like, hey, you guys got any of this guy? I don't know what you're talking about. So he saw a ghost fireman. He doesn't know where that guy went.
Damn.
So it's pretty spooky. The mountain's very spooky. I wouldn't recommend it.
All right.
What's yours?
All right. This one, I was 5 years old, and our house was set up. My parents' room facing the backyard, and then a hallway, and then me and my brother's room. I used to wake up, I would have like a nightmare or something, and I would sprint across the hallway to my parents' room, and I would lay in their bed, and I had a scary dream. So that happens, and of course they're like, nothing's gonna get you, blah blah blah. And I look up, and they had these green blinds, and it must have been a full moon or something because light is coming through them. So I can see pretty well into the room, like silhouettes only. And there's this. At the time, it was a dancing body. Like, it was like dancing. It was a hanging body now, but like at the time, I saw it was like dancing. And like under its feet looked like not like static, but when you're dizzy, you see stars. It was like that. Like something was wrong under its feet. And then it turns and it walks into the closet, and it's like being like dragged, like in video games when the animation doesn't sync up and it's they like slide across the ground. It slides into my parents' closet, and so I nudged my mom awake. I was like, I saw something. She's like, no, you didn't. And as I say that, I turn back, and it comes back out, and it does the same animation 2 or 3 times. And I kept watching it, and I could see the silhouette, like it was real, like. Nothing would have, other than like the stars under its feet, there was nothing to be like, I'm seeing something or something's wrong. It kept doing the same thing predictably, the pattern. I told my mom, she looks up, she doesn't see anything. I fall asleep in the morning, there's nothing there. And like that stuck with me. I don't know how I fell asleep, but it was like I was not seeing an actual ghost, I was just seeing a recording.
That's so weird.
Yeah. Crazy.
That's fucked up.
And apparently there's like a phenomena called like shadow people. And that's just silhouettes of people that people see. And like they usually wear a hat. I'm like, well, probably because usually people see blobs and they're like, look like a guy with a hat. But this one was just a guy, yeah.
He was just doing a happy coal miner
dance. Doing a happy coal miner dance.
Well, it's funny that you say people with hats. So this is at my grandparents' house, okay? These are the ones that live in Albuquerque, and they have a really, really big house. And when you walk in through like the main, like the foyer, I guess, to get to the living room is separated. So on one side is the hallway, on the other side is the hallway that goes to the other side of the house. And it's a very, very long hallway. This is like, I want to say, God, like 120-foot hallway. Like, it's huge, right? And so then... you have the living room, and then next to the living room is the TV room. So I'd be in there super late watching movies and stuff after my grandparents would go to bed. And then my room is on the opposite side of the hallway to them. So, I was done watching TV. I've turned off all the lights. I have all my, because I would bring my airsoft stuff out there, and I'd be like, playing around in the room there. So I have all my airsoft stuff, and I'm going back into my room. I'm probably going to play some Gears of War, play some Xbox. And, I come around, and I thought I had left the light on in my room, because usually I do, because I got to go down there. And I swear I see somebody just walk into the room. I'm like, and so I went into the kitchen, and I get one of those big, like the cleaver, right? The square.
You
the square
arm
knife.
yourself.
So I put the airsoft gun down, and I go into the garage, right? And I get a flashlight, and I get my bow, because I have a real like compound bow at my grandparents' house. So I have that. So I have the. I'm walking into the room, and I'm looking around in there. And this is a pretty big, creepy room, because there's those like French doors that have big windows and stuff. And the blinds had been pulled back, which I always close them, because I'm always afraid that I'm going to wake up and look right out the door, because the bed faces towards the window and there's going to be somebody there.
Can I get a montage of Lane waking up to Who's Watching?
I always feel like somebody's watching me.
Because I like Psycho too much.
No, because it reminds me of Psycho too much.
Yeah, that's what it was.
He does.
I don't know anymore. Maybe the mailman's watching me.
I wonder who's watching me now.
The IRS?
I think that guy, his dad was like the owner of a record company.
It's Motown. It was like yeah.
And I think that's the only reason why he got the song. And I think Michael Jackson had to be on it. Like he was contractually obligated to
Yeah.
do like a single. So here, do this one for my son.
So the blinds I knew I had pulled back. I had pulled over the door, and they were now pulled back. And there's a big scary closet in there too that I had to go check. And I moved one of the dressers in front of the closet just in case, because this was not like a shadow, right? Like it was a person.
What was it? A dude?
Okay. My mind is now making it. It was like a Mexican guy with a hat on, like with like a.
It was a big senor. It was a racist caricature.
No, not like a sombrero, like a baseball cap, right? Like a guy like on a construction crew. What?
It's the generic Mexican NPC.
Hola.
¿Cómo están? The ghost started banging on the door. Senor, I would like to come out of the closet now. I'm sorry I gave you such a spook.
Such a fright.
So I didn't sleep at all that night, and then the next day I don't remember what I was supposed to go do with my grandmother, but I'm like, and then the next night I was so relieved to be going back to my dad's house, and also at my dad's house I have big scary window in my house that my dad, for some reason, every time he comes into the room has to open them up, which I hate because I hate light.
And we're recording this podcast completely in the dark at Lane's behest.
Well, in my room now, you've seen it. I have the blanket stapled around my window because I'm also afraid of somebody coming in through there.
Oh, he stapled a blanket, boys.
Well, no, they would fall into the blanket,
and you'd be able to wrap them up.
Well, exactly. And then
you tie like a twist tie around it.
you go.
Cuídate, señor. It's me.
Senor, can we come out of the blanket, please? Sorry we gave you such a fright.
Well, no, and the other thing that I'm terrified.
Title of the episode: Sorry we gave you such a fright.
Right, senor. So the other thing I'm terrified of is being attacked while I'm in the shower.
Do you shower with a gun?
They remind you of Psycho too much.
No. So I do prop one of my real swords up against, like, next to the shower, and
just in case the Mexican phantasm decides to pay you a visit.
No, okay. In my mind, this for some reason in my mind it's a guy dressed as a clown. I'm not afraid of clowns, but
you're afraid of people dressed as clowns.
Well, not even that. It's more that he like comes in either with a knife or a chainsaw and just
Knife is scarier than chainsaw, because knife, it's like he can hack and slash immediately. Chainsaw, they have to do the I'm gonna get you. At that point, it's sort of funny to me.
Well, see, okay, chainsaw scares me more because I've been trained in knife fighting, but not chainsaw fighting.
Well, they don't offer courses in that.
Well, they don't. I can grab a knife.
When you break into a little white boy's grandparents' house and hide in the closet, you may have to chainsaw fight him. Do apologize beforehand for giving him such a fright.
Don't turn on the chainsaw until it's time to kill him.
No, so like
He's waiting in the closet.
well, because that's the thing, like you know, like that. I'll just be showering, right, and then all of a sudden, I'm like, so here's my tactic. I have actually thought about this. I've had extensive.
Chainsaw clown here for you, Lane.
Well, it's no, like you don't
Hey,
even.
man, don't do that to Lane. He doesn't like it when you frighten him.
No, it's not even.
All of your horrible nightmares are fighting against you.
Well, no. So it's not that you see it's that you hear the chainsaw. Really, this could be anybody with a chainsaw. So
No, because you're playing music on the stereo and you have like the shampoo in your eyes. I don't remember that part.
So here's my tactic, and I've practiced this. Okay, just in case this ever happens. So is that I will slide down into the tub, right? In that the chainsaw killer will slash at like chest height.
Yeah.
In the shower, and so I will be able to see where he is And after he is let up on the chainsaw, then I will just go nuts and rip the what is that called?
The shower curtain.
The curtains off of the wall and tackle him.
You practice this?
No, okay, not this part, but I know that I would be able to do this.
No, wait. If I was going to do that, I would rip open the shower curtain first because I would be like, surprise! Because nobody in the shower is ever like, oh, whoa, you opened the shower. They're always like, holy shit! Not that I've opened the shower with a lot of people, but like...
Imagine Lane with a little Japanese sensei. No, Lane! Boom! And then
that is something I practice. I practice being in the shower and how fast I can jump out and pull out my sword.
And then he's like, he has it, there's nobody there, and then the sensei's like in the bathroom mirror. Too slowly. I would have killed you 500 times with the chainsaw.
Have you ever slipped hopping out of the shower to grab your sword?
Once I did, and I almost cut my hand off.
Wait, did you have a running chainsaw?
No, with the sword.
Oh.
Jumping out to draw
me with a chainsaw.
Is it like on a Kevin McAllister rope system?
And no. Whoa, that test hit a little too close to home.
Sign up now for chainsaw attacker training. Do you have a chainsaw contingency plan? You do now.
You definitely need one. I have the same thing about my back to a wall in public situations. Like, I love not being cornered, but the idea that nobody can sneak up on me.
Well, that's what when I sit in restaurants, I am always facing so I can see.
I try and pick the corner seat. That's why I didn't like that you put me up into the window, because that meant that somebody in the window could just walk up and shoot me through the window. You don't realize I'm always thinking about ways that I could be murdered.
Oh my God, look! It's Lane! We won't frighten him because he'll be dead before he knows we're here.
It's not less that these are ghosts, it's just two Mexican guys.
Yeah, they're no longer supernatural.
Because you're when you're with your at your grandparents' house, that doesn't sound like a ghost story. That sounds like a home invasion.
Well, the thing is that the door was locked from the in. It only locks from the inside.
Then who was phone?
Well, that's the thing is that okay. So the other thing is that the carpets in there are impeccably white.
So if a dirty Mexican walked in,
no, that's not what I'm saying. But like the guy was
sorry for number one, the fright. Number two, ruining your carpet.
Oh no, so that's the thing is it leaves like if you wear your shoes in there, it leaves like the imprint of your shoes. And there were no.
You didn't see any boot marks
or footprints or anything like that. Okay, another story. My other grandparents who live here in Arizona, they live way up in the mountains next to the border. And I've been asked to house sit for them several times. And you want to talk about scary windows? These are like 10 by 10 windows that cover...
It appears that the size is the only factor that scares him.
No, this is... Oh, no. I love confined spaces. Mm-hmm. I love having everything in like a small command center. Mm-hmm. So that's why I dream of being a mech pilot, where I just live in the mech, and I just have little toaster, little TV. The chair leans back, and I just pull a blanket over and fall asleep in my mech. You
pull your blanket, but it's not quite going, and then you look over, and there's a Mexican guy.
Oh, senor. And it's people.
He drops the chair all the way back.
Oh, so I dodge it.
Slides out of the mech.
Have you ever seen any of the Pink Panther movies? So he has his little assistant, and he has his assistant attack him every day, and he has to fight him, so that way he's always on his toes.
Okay.
So I imagine you have a Hispanic man.
I've hired to come at me with a chainsaw constantly.
Yeah. But like one day he shows up with like a skill saw, so it's a little quieter.
Oh.
What I say about using the skill saw? You'll have to be ready for the skill saw.
Well, so now I'm imagining that my Mexican assistant in my mech, I slide the seat down, and it's just clanking against all the matter. Oh no! What's his name? What's my assistant's name?
Julius. Let's not confine
Julius.
him.
Yeah. Julius! What are you doing to the inside of the mech? Oh, senor, I am so sorry.
Number one, I am sorry for the frightening of you. Number two, I am sorry for ruining your mech.
Julius, don't be sorry for the frightening. That's what I pay you to do.
But I always feel so bad for frightening you. You seem to not take it very well.
This is a character that we will have to create at some point.
Julius, the man who frightens you. And he's so sorry about
So
just making eggs. Oh, where's the salt? It's right here. Oh my God! I'm so sorry for one, frightening of you, and number two, for putting too much salt into your scrambled eggs.
So here's the other thing. So this house is huge, and they live out where people like somebody who lives close to them was murdered by illegal immigrants, right? Like they brought.
Why did I laugh at that?
Yeah, that's pretty horrible, actually. That you laughed at that. That's not very funny.
Well, because they weren't sorry.
They weren't. So, and the thing is that these windows are open all the time. So the living room is the biggest room in the house, and it's just huge windows, right? And it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 walls, right? It's like in a weird, semicircular pattern, right?
The bay window.
Mm-hmm. And so I am so horrified that I will be watching TV and I will just look over and there's just... Okay, the worst is that if it would be like multiple guys.
Well, usually they just want water. Like...
Okay, but
that's not a bit. Like I knew somebody who had a ranch, and they would walk over and they're like, "I'm really sorry. Do you have some water? I'm just trying to get to Texas."
Well, but that's the thing is that it's not
Tejas.
It's people that want. It's a bunch of illegal immigrants who want to break in and murder me. Now, obviously, the chances of that happening are extremely low, but the fear
is for.
But the fear is still there. So that grandpa, he does have a double barrel shotgun. Now technically I was not supposed to have any of the weapons out, but I had it out anyway. Just in case, because the whole thing is like, well, if you accidentally shot yourself, you don't have cell phone reception up there, and if you couldn't get to the phone...
Not that you would call them anyway, it'd be too embarrassing.
So this is like a reverse The Shining. Like, you're not snowed in, but you're like feared in.
Yeah, basically. So, so I have the double barrel shotgun sitting in the armchair next to me, and I'm just... And the worst part is I'd watch like Chiller, right? Like all the shitty horror movies and stuff. And it got to the point where the paranoia was just getting to be too much, so I had to go and unwrap and close all the blinds. And
then you won't be able to see them seeing you.
Well, then like they'd have to try.
If he can't see them,
they can't see him.
Well, these are those thick like. Not the blinds that are like this, but it's like it's on your side, but it's like that plastic that is like accordioned up, right?
Oh, and it can go up or down.
Yeah, and so it's one of those, right? But it is not like the slats of blinds. Mm-hmm. And so then I have my own room at that house, right? So I would lock myself in that room, and that one had a really small window up at the top that I still closed anyway. And so there were 2 doors you'd have to get into to get to that room, and I would lock both of them, and I would still like put like stuff in front of the door just in case. I did that same thing at Anime Expo in the Murder Motel. I put stuff in front of the door.
I wish I was there. The Murder Motel looked like so much fun.
Dude, okay, so here's the thing.
But I would have Night of the Hunter sat in a rocking chair all night.
That's Lane's singular talent. Like,
No.
This was terrifying. He's spinning it into an entertaining story.
Did I tell you that somebody accidentally tried coming into my room because they thought it was their room?
Uh-huh.
Did you shoot him?
No, and I went up to the door and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Oh, Jesus. Well, this isn't my room. I'm like, oh.
Oh, Jesus de Cristo. This is not my room. I am so sorry.
Well, and the
Mr.
thing
Lane.
is that I showed you the windows. I showed you the windows,
First
right?
of all, I apologize for
Is that the windows were slats.
Oh, yeah.
And I could the one closest to the door was just busted right up. And I went outside and I reached my hand in and just unlocked the door from the outside. And I'm like, so that's why I moved something. I moved that table to be in front of the door. Mm-hmm. So that way if somebody came in, I would at least hear it and then be able to shoot them. And I actually found out that it's not, you can't carry a gun into another state.
You have to have a license in each state.
When it has to be like locked or something. Like, okay, if you do, like it has to be in a box and it has to have like a trigger lock or something on it. I'm like, okay, well, I can't shoot somebody that's breaking into my room to murder me if, dude, you do not want to be there because I'm a bit of a germaphobe, okay?
What aren't you afraid of?
Well, okay, I'm afraid of a lot of things, but
Is Julius wearing medical gloves at all times?
I'm ready for things to happen.
No, yeah.
So here's the thing.
Who plays Julius in the movie? But
Let's not focus on that just yet. So
it's me and brown
So this
face.
is the thing.
There you
I'm
go.
prepared to be murdered by a chainsaw killer at any time, but I will not run. I will face it head on and get mad about it. This is what I've decided to do if I'm ever like attacked by a killer. I'm just gonna be like, just like fucking do it. I'm gonna you can stab me, but I'm gonna get you too. That's why I always like carry some weapon with me. So I'm like, I'm gonna get as much of him as I can, right?
So man, I don't really do this for the challenge. I'm usually more used to people just.
Come on, motherfucker!
Yeah, seriously, I would be super combative.
Sorry.
Yeah. So number one. So I could not be barefooted in the murder motel because I don't know what was on the floor. I brought my own.
It was semen.
Urine, blood, or semen.
I brought my own. So I wore flip flops into the shower, right? Because I wouldn't touch the floor. I brought my own bed sheets that I bought and then threw away afterwards.
This is all a little much, but not unreasonable.
Well, no, he didn't sleep in the bed sheets. He had them draped on the roof, and if somebody attacked, he pulled it. All of your plans conclude in trapping someone in a fabric like a ghost,
and then murdering them.
It's like,
okay, speaking of super scary stuff. No. This is real, and this you guys can go look this up. So the hotel that I used to stay in with my dad at Anime Expo was called the Cecil Hotel. Now it's called Stay on Main, I believe. So they completely renamed it after this happened.
Ooh.
And this happened, I want to say, while we were at Anime Expo. So a woman whose name I cannot remember at this moment was caught. So she went missing. Okay, and they found her weeks later in the water tank.
oh man, I've heard about that.
Up on the roof of the hotel. No one knows how she got up there. No one knows how she got in there, because it was locked supposedly, right?
There's security footage of her like freaking out in an elevator.
So the security footage is of her like getting in and out of the elevator and like talking to someone who is either invisible or is where the camera it is not shown in the hallway, and on one of the only floors that does not have cameras. And then she just disappears. And there's no footage of her getting out onto, because the only way that you could get up to the top is through the fire escape.
So this happened at the hotel you were staying at?
Yes, and it happened while we were there. She went missing while we were there.
So you probably drank the water.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Lane's drank a dead body. What was it? Icky?
Well, actually, here's the thing. I don't recall if we drank anything because we always bring our own water and stuff. But like I brushed my teeth with corpse water. But so like nobody knows how she got up there. Like some of the footage is like not tampered with, but like is weird in how like it cuts. So they don't know how she died. There's all this weird stuff surrounding it. Go read up on this.
The non-conspiracy theory, the prevailing, like the police went with, was that she was tripping on something.
And she fell into the cooler and drowned.
It's a little convenient, you know. I always love to play both sides of those.
Yeah.
Where I have the one that I think about before I go to sleep. She was just tripping. And then the one during the daytime. No, but dude, look at the footage.
So that was a horrifying experience, especially because I was there by myself. And this was a motel run by kind of shady Indian people. Especially when they said, because I realized that you have to be 21 to get a hotel room. I was not 21 at the point, right? And
You have to be 21 to get a hotel room?
yeah.
I think so, yeah.
And he says...
No, wait. No, because I've gotten a hotel room when I was 19 at the time.
Okay, so they just didn't... This place didn't care.
This place also probably did not care.
Because they said, "Are you 21?" I said, "Well, here's my ID." Okay. So and
Mark.
And that's the thing is that at the end they're like, Jess, we were trying to call you several times throughout your stay.
Oh, Indian.
Yeah, no, I would say Native American if they're
Okay.
Native American. No, but these were like, Asian, Indian. And it was a different guy every time, like in that window. And it's 24/7 that this guy's like behind a bulletproof window, which that in and of itself is kind of scary. That it was, I left and came back multiple times during the day, never saw the same guy once.
See, they killed him. He was dead. They replaced the glass in the man.
Oh, whoa.
They're in the same. They're like in saran wrap.
like it keeps getting robbed?
That was just a bit.
Okay.
I'm sure they rarely need to
But
use
so the
glass.
final guy I had to deal with is like doing this whole, blah, blah, blah. Like, we tried to call you several times throughout your stay. And I'm like, there's no landline. There's a phone, but somebody stole the landline. He's like, I'm sorry? I'm like, the phone is there, but there was not the thing to plug it in. Are you sure? What did you do with it? I'm like, I didn't do anything with it. I didn't. And he's like, well, why didn't you tell us? I'm like, I didn't think. I just assumed that was how the room came, and I had my cell phone. So, and you have my cell phone number. So if you wanted to call me, that was the number you could have called me at. And it was just because I parked in the wrong place or something, which horrible parking. That was the other thing that scared the shit out of me, was if I was going to be boxed in and unable to drive my car somewhere.
I'm usually afraid in places I haven't parked before, like even at the lofts today, of getting towed or getting stuff like that.
Right, and then like, just what am I going to do? I can't I will not be able to handle the stress.
Well, Julius would be in the back seat. They take him too. All right.
God damn it! You've taken my assistant.
How am I going to get my daily spook?
Like you pick up your car. Oh, where's Julius? And you get Mr. Lane. Ah! All right, number 1, sorry for the frightening of you. Number 2, sorry I did not karate chop the man who was stealing your car. I was so tired from the chainsaw training.
It's okay. We got off on it. We got off on it because I claimed that they kidnapped you, so we're all good. We also got a $5,000 settlement. Here's your half. Oh, thank you, senor. We've really been needing a new chains.
Gracias, senor Lane.
He's slowly trying to teach you Spanish, and you have none of it.
Oh yeah, no,
Like Dora.
So yeah, that's a real spooky story that actually happened to me. I was there when that horrible event happened. Do you think I could have sued for that?
Oh, for sure, yeah. There was a class action, I think.
Fuck.
You drank a dead body.
You could have sent Julius to college.
Well, that's the thing, is that they say that it only pulls from the water tank, like certain points, and only certain parts of the hotel get from the water tank. So there's no
if
way
you
to
didn't
know.
notice a funny taste, then because people were complaining about the smell and the taste.
Well, that's the thing. I don't remember if it did or not. That's the worst part, is that we only found out about this like a year later, and my dad goes, "Hey, isn't this hotel we stay at?" Yeah, Dad, you should know that. We get it every year. Oh, I guess when we were staying there, they found a woman dead in the water tank. Oh, jeez, great Dad.
Well, good night.
Number 1,
We were-
Lane, I'm
we were-
sorry for making you drink a dead body.
We were eating at a Chinese restaurant when he saw this on the news, and then pulled it up on his phone, and we read the whole thing. I'm like, oh well. And I've actually not stayed there since. I
don't blame you.
Mostly
Murder
because the rooms are all booked every time I try and go out there, so that's kind of a bitch to deal with.
Everyone wants to stay at the actual murder motel.
Well, this is the best part. So that is called the American do you guys remember the name of the place I stayed at? I should remember because I stayed there. It was like the American Expressway Hotel or something. Or something like has America or USA in it or something. And there is a hotel that is the exact same name that is literally a 15-second walk from the convention center. It is right across the street, right? You could roll out of bed into the convention center, right? And I thought that was the one I was staying at, and it was like $50 a night. I'm like, fucking Christ, that is such a great deal. And so I'm telling all my friends, I'm like, yeah, you guys, I'll be right there. So if any of you need a ride, I can just pick you up, and my hotel room is right there. And I'm driving, and I'm like, it turns out that's not the one, so I have to go find it. Like, I'm getting progressively more frightened, and it's not Julius that's doing it.
He's tuckered out in the bag.
Oh, God, that was a long drive. I was playing anime music the whole time. And
His chainsaw's out of fuel.
Well, the worst part is I get there, I'm like, yeah, I had a room reserved. I'm sorry, the room is not ready. You have to check in after 2 o'clock. I'm like, well, shit, it's 11 right now. What am I supposed to do for, like, 5 hours?
Jesus.
I'm sorry, the room is not ready. Like, and you can't park there yet because they won't give me the parking permit till I park there. So I have to go shell out fucking $20 to go park next to the convention center so I can sweat my ass off in line.
Did you ask if they have a free shower where you can do some chainsaw training?
Horrible.
Well, you've never done motel chainsaw training.
I got
it's a different beast.
I got horribly sunburnt. Because I was standing at the one point in the line that is in between the awning and in between the alcove of the convention center. So it was to the point where I'm holding a folding lawn chair above my head as a makeshift umbrella.
How would you defend yourself in a motel bathroom situation via the chainsaw killer?
Oh, did I tell you Murder Motel didn't have a shower curtain?
So how would you have captured the chainsaw killer?
Well, okay, that room is long enough. That one, the door was far enough away that I would definitely have time to pull out my blade and clash.
What if they come around the corner and he goes, ha, ha, ha. He sees you have a sword, he goes, ha, good. He's just gonna back to it.
That's the other thing. I'm like, if a killer came after me and like I pulled out a weapon, they just go, oh, never mind. We won't fuck with that guy.
I imagine you pull out a katana and a chainsaw, and it like the A and the B button matching hits.
Duel of the Fates starts playing.
Well, and then I clash away from him, and the chainsaw bounces and cuts into the chainsaw killer's neck, and I go to remove the mask, and it's me.
And I'm sitting outside on a log, and I shake my head. And then Julius is next to me eating a sandwich.
There was another.
Also, the guys next door to me were smoking weed at every hour of the day, and those windows wouldn't close.
How would you defeat them?
And the AC unit was one of those ones that's connected to the window, so it is just blasting fucking stank into my room.
The dankest air conditioner.
Oh, and that was the other worst part about the air conditioner is that there was no like medium cool. There was also no fan, right? So it's not like medium cool. It's either like fucking blizzard cold in there. So the thing is that I needed it kind of cold in there because it was hot.
Well, you can't have your sheets on because you need those to.
Well, no. So here's the best part about this hotel. Is
you turn on all the sheets.
Well, and it was super powerful too, right? So, and it was blowing right onto my bed to the point where it is like rustling my sheets. I'm like,
you know, fun houses, how they have like the mirrors everywhere. I imagine if a killer came in for late, it'd be sheets, and it'd like this labyrinth of sheets, and they keep going. And you're in a sheet. You keep
sheets are my natural element. Like I've trained.
So like the Winchester family, like the daughters inherited this mansion, right? And they were convinced that it was haunted by the ghosts of people that their guns had killed. So they would build like fake doorways, staircases
I've been to
that
this
led
place,
nowhere.
I believe.
Wow, yeah, and eventually,
and like there's one that is a door that opens up into like a 2-story drop.
Yeah,
they eventually
into a big sheet.
Which is funny because it
just starts stabbing.
Well, because it was to confuse the ghosts, right?
Yes. Yeah.
The thing is that how's a ghost going to be affected by a 2-story drop? It's ethereal. It just floats there.
It goes and it floats, and then it looks in the camera and holds up a sign that says "Uh-oh."
So that was the thing, is that this AC unit just
you build it with ethereal bricks.
Call back.
Okay, so this AC unit would blast into the room. So I used a bunch of pillows to redirect the flow.
Yeah, where do pillows come into your chainsaw defense plan? Are they the counterweight?
I've never considered pillows.
He's got a net full of pillows.
Do you have a sleeping to awake like a defense plan.
Now I do like a lot of pillows. Like I sleep with tons of pillows, right?
That's normal.
And when I was a child, what I did is I had a barricade of pillows around me. So that way, if a graboid ever came up and tried to grab me on my bed, it would grab one of the pillows.
I love that every one of his contingency plans like, all right, what do I got on the bed?
What's my barrier? What do I have to work
use
with?
the elastic from the mattress pad.
Well, no, I used to do the same thing. I would wall myself in, or I had a captain's bed with the trunks underneath. So I'd lift the mattress, and I would be in the space behind my cabinets under my mattress, and like nobody could see me. Nobody knew where I was. Bring
that's
a
a good
book
plan.
and food. Yeah,
Because the chainsaw killer come in,
nobody's there.
no one's there.
Yeah.
And that's when the sheet trap falls.
Also,
And then I come in.
Like, and you know how like the bolas have like the weights on it, but it's teddy bears. It's like Beanie Babies. Ah!
also, if you cover yourself with the blanket entirely, no, you can't get hurt.
No, that's true.
Oh no,
the rules.
I would never do that because then I wouldn't see it coming. No, like I cannot hide under the covers because I'm like, then he'd know I'm there and just get me while I can't
Why
see
can't I
it.
hide under the covers? Because I generate a lot of body heat, so it'd make all the air hot, and I'd be like,
So I used to
just to create a vaginal exit.
I used to do that.
That's how Lane would stop me. Is I'd be like, it's too hot in these sheets. I can't get fresh air.
So that's what I used to do when I needed to pretend to be sick. Is like I would wake up an hour and a half early before my mom would come in to wake me up for school, and I would just wallow under the sheets until I was sweating, soaked. Like I had to wait till the sheets were soaked, and and then I'd be, Mom, I don't feel so
Well, you
good."
actually like dehydrated yourself. You actually-
Well, and then she's like, "Oh my God,
We're pretending to be.
your sheets are soaked," and I'm like,
So that ends our topic of the week that went in a lot of directions. We'd like to keep going, but we got to wrap this thing up.
If you'd ever like to send anything in, send in those emails to saltmineradio@gmail.com.
We did get one.
we did.
Because I guess somebody heard a segment from the last episode where I talk about Jeff Speakman. I must have brought it up on another podcast.
Somehow, yeah.
I watched one Jeff Speakman movie, Emailer, and I was horribly disappointed in it, so I won't be watching anymore. That's what happened.
There you have it.
What's on your radar?
Oh fuck! Just more Spooktober movies.
Yep,
I'll
Spooktober.
Probably watch Ghostbusters at some point.
Nice.
We did watch Shin Godzilla. That's a discussion for another time.
It's true.
There's a lot to discuss.
On my radar, I didn't think I was going to get the chance to see it, but the Oasis documentary Supersonic is coming to theaters for one day only.
Does this guy ever shut the fuck up about Oasis? Sorry, I have to get that in because Gage always bitches at me. Does he ever shut up about this? So
I'm sorry. Number one, for asking you to shut up.
There's that. And as happens every week, I had more things that I was going to do and talk about, and they just disappeared out the back of my mind.
Local tech support's almost here.
Local tech support is coming. You don't know what that means yet.
The Great White Buffalo.
but you will. You'll know what it means.
So much more exciting so
And
much
then
more
we'll have to apologize for frightening you.
so much more exciting stuff coming down the pipeline. Lane, anything on your radar?
We're gonna get plagiarized.
I don't know. On my radar, I've been watching a lot of Evangelion. Watch it. I'm gonna kidnap Gage and force him to watch Evangelion.
It is within the realm of possibility.
Well, I'm gonna startle him while he's in the shower. I'm gonna ambush Gage while he's in the shower because he's the only one of us that is not prepared for the shower contingency. I'm gonna come in with an Ava figurine.
Julius apologized to me. I'm sorry, Mr. Gage. Number one,
And
for
for
aiding
making-
and abetting in the frightening of you.
For making you watch Evangelion.
I know you don't want to watch this weird bullshit. Next week we should be airing on Halloween. So expect
I don't know
Halloween.
I don't know how we can get spookier than we did tonight, but it'll be there.
Speaking of spooky, what's that noise?
What?
Gage, whenever I try and fucking ad-lib something, you just go. I'm like, all right, because we need to end this, I'm trying to segue into the ending of the...
Just in the episode. Thank you for listening. Send your emails to saltmineradio@gmail.com.
No, the Deadites.
Oh, the Deadites are coming.
They're coming next week.
They're coming and they're going to get in. No, they're coming right now.
No, I'm sorry.
They can't come next week because next week I have to do my Lovecraft bit. We're fighting Lovecraft. Oh, did you stop the recording?
No.
We'll just do it. We'll just do the Lovecraft monsters next week.
Oh no, the Deadites. We have to stop them. Gunshot noises. Oh boy, we sure
That's
put up
not a Deadite. That's Julius.
I'm so sorry, Julius.
It's okay, senor. I should be apologizing to you. Number one for impersonating a Deadite.
Okay.
That's dumb. Just cut it.